Who are you? And what the hell are you doing in my room at 2 in the morning? His voice was like ice against the skin, low, firm, and dangerous. Lily looked up, her chest rising and falling quickly. For a second she said nothing, as if the words had gotten stuck in her throat, but then she answered, trying to stay calm. Welcome to Love Above All, Passion and Power Stories. Before we begin, I have a challenge for you. If you enjoy the first few minutes of this story, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Get ready for a story of love, pursuit, and redemption between Ethan, the most feared tycoon in Miami, and Lily, a runaway maid with a dangerous past. Ready to dive in? Let's begin. The sound of the lock turning echoed through the dark room like a late warning. Lily froze. Her hands were still holding the bedsheet she was changing, but her heart pounded like a frantic drum. She shouldn't have been there, especially not at that hour. But when the door swung fully open and Ethan Black entered, the air was ripped from her lungs. The man who controlled half the city with a single phone call, owner of the most luxurious hotel chain in Florida, stood just feet away, shirt unbuttoned, face furious, and his gaze slicing through her like a blade. Who are you? And what the hell are you doing in my room at 2 in the morning? His voice was like ice against the skin, low, firm, and dangerous. Lily looked up, chest heaving. For a moment she froze, the words trapped in her throat. Then she answered, trying to hold her composure. I work here. I'm a maid. I was told to change the sheets in the presidential suite. They said the guest wouldn't be arriving until tomorrow. Ethan took a step forward. His eyes, dark as the night outside, scanned every inch of her. The plain uniform barely concealed her shape, but it wasn't just her body that caught his attention. It was the way she held herself. The strength, the absence of fear, or maybe fear, very well hidden. I'm the guest, he said with a half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. And you just broke into my room. Lily swallowed hard. That wasn't my intention. No? He stepped closer. Then tell me, what exactly were you expecting to find here? Nothing. I was just doing my job. Then why were the lights off? She hesitated, and that second of silence cost her. Ethan's gaze intensified. You're lying. I'm not, she snapped, holding on to the last of her pride. He stepped even closer. Now they were so near she could feel the heat of his body, the expensive cologne, the overpowering presence, and that look that burned through every layer of her soul. Some people would do anything to get close to me, he said, touching her chin. Are you one of them? She pushed him away. Not hard, but firmly enough to show she still had a voice. I'm not like the women you're used to buying. He smiled. This time, the smile was real, darkly real. No? This is going to be fun. She tried to leave, but he blocked the door. I could call security, accuse you of trespassing, make sure you never change another bed in this city. Do it, she challenged, staring him down. But look me in the eyes first and tell me that's really what you want to do. Ethan said nothing, because he didn't know, because she challenged him like no one dared, because there was something about her, that mix of strength and fear, that defiant mouth, those wounded eyes, that made him feel alive. What's your name? He finally asked. Lily. Lily. He repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. You just earned a one-of-a-kind opportunity. She frowned. What kind of opportunity? You're going to work directly for me. Starting tomorrow, you're my personal assistant. Her eyes widened. Is this some kind of punishment? No, it's a test. And if I say no, you won't say no. He leaned in, his lips almost touching hers, because something tells me you need this a lot more than you're willing to admit. Lily didn't move. Her heart was pounding, and for the first time in a long time, she felt something she couldn't control: desire and also danger. When the door closed behind him, Lily leaned against the wall, lips parted, and whispered to herself, "What have I done?" Lily stared at the ceiling of the small staff room she'd been sleeping in for 3 months. She couldn't close her eyes. Ethan's words still echoed in her mind like a sentence. "Starting tomorrow, you're my personal assistant." She had gone into that suite just to change the bedding. It was just another night shift, another day surviving. But now, the most powerful man in Miami had pulled her out of invisibility and shoved her into the center of a game she didn't understand and didn't know how to win. But she needed the money. She needed the job. And more than anything, she needed to disappear. Being invisible had been her only protection for months. Now it would be impossible. At exactly 8 in the morning, Lily arrived at the top floor of the Black Sands Hotel, the most luxurious in the chain. She wore her maid uniform, the only one she had, but tied her hair more neatly and cleaned her sneakers as best she could. The receptionist looked at her as if she'd walked into the wrong floor. "Name?" the woman asked coldly. "Lily Monroe. Mr. Black asked me to report as personal assistant." The receptionist raised an eyebrow, like she'd misheard. But before she could say anything, the elevator doors opened, and Ethan appeared. Dressed in a dark, flawless suit, a gleaming watch on his wrist and his eyes fixed on her. "She's with me, Claire." With those words, Lily crossed an invisible barrier. That world was made of marble, silence, money, and obedience. And now she belonged to it. Ethan's private office was an extension of his personality. Minimalist, elegant, and intimidating. He sat behind the desk and looked at her like he was evaluating something of questionable value. "First lesson," he said bluntly. "Here, everything runs on my time. Don't interrupt, don't question, and never ever challenge me in public." Lily crossed her arms. "And in private?" He raised an eyebrow, surprised and slightly impressed. "In private you can try." Pause. "But I wouldn't recommend it." She took a deep breath, trying to ignore the chill that ran down her spine. His presence was almost tangible, toxic, seductive, and in some way far too dangerous. "What exactly do you want from me?" Ethan stood, walked around the desk, and stopped just a few steps from her. "Managing my schedule, quick answers, absolute loyalty, and silence about everything you see or hear." "And what do I get in return?" He looked down at her like a predator assessing its prey. "A salary 5 times higher than a maid's, a furnished apartment, protection, and something that, judging by your eyes, you value more than money." She held his gaze. "What?" "Anonymity." Lily felt the floor vanish beneath her for a second. How did he know? "I know how to spot someone who's running," he said, his voice lower, more dangerous. "But don't worry, I'm not your judge. I'm just your owner now." She didn't respond. But something inside her screamed. He wasn't her owner, he would never be, but for some reason she didn't yet understand. She'd agreed to play his game. "Very well," she said coldly. "Where do we start?" Ethan gave a slight smile. A smile that said more than 1,000 commands. "We start now." The day was an elegant chaos. Lily followed him through meetings, business lunches, and endless phone calls. She had to deal with arrogant executives, tight schedules, and million-dollar decisions. But to her surprise, she was good at it, better than she expected. And Ethan, he observed everything, every gesture, every answer, every reaction. He didn't say a word of praise, but his eyes said everything. At the end of the day, when the two of them were alone in the elevator, the silence was thick, heated, loaded. "That was a good start," he said finally. "I thought you didn't do compliments." "I didn't. That was an observation. You have something... What? He turned to her, resting one hand on the wall, trapping her without touching her. A fire inside, I can see it, and I'm going to find out what's burning in there, Lily. She felt the air grow thinner. Careful, you might get burned. Ethan smiled. I promise I won't scream. When the elevator doors opened, Lily stepped out first without looking back, but his heat still clung to her skin like an invisible brand. The hallway was empty, but Lily's heart pounded as if she were being chased. The sound of Ethan's footsteps still echoed in her memory, and the way he had cornered her in the elevator, so close, so warm, without even touching, had left invisible marks on her skin. She locked herself inside the apartment he had arranged, elegant, modern, quiet. But everything there screamed danger. That world of luxury was a disguised prison, and she knew better than anyone what it meant to be trapped by a powerful man. Lily dropped her bag on the couch, kicked off her shoes, and faced the mirror in the living room. "You said you'd never get involved again," she whispered to her reflection. "And now you're letting him get too close." She closed her eyes for a moment. The past was lurking, watching, and she knew if Ethan ever discovered who she really was, everything would fall apart. Across the city, Ethan poured himself a whiskey at the private bar in his penthouse, alone, shirt unbuttoned, mind unsettled. He knew the type of woman who orbited his world, ambitious, seductive, opportunistic. But Lily was different, not just because she dared to confront him, but because of the mystery in her eyes, the way she touched him without even laying a hand. And that drove him mad. "What are you hiding, Lily Monroe?" he murmured, staring out at the city through the glass wall. Something about her drew him in like fire, and he'd always had a dangerous habit of playing with flames. The next morning, Lily arrived at the office early. Ethan was already there, of course. White shirt rolled up to the elbows, tie loosened, phone to his ear. She tried to ignore the impact he had, but it was impossible. "I need you in the 10 o'clock meeting with the board," he said without preamble. "Bring the financial reports and wear something more appropriate." She raised an eyebrow. "What's wrong with my uniform? You're not a maid anymore." "So what am I now?" He walked over, lowering the phone, eyes locked on hers. "A dangerous distraction." Lily swallowed hard, but she didn't back down. "Then tell me, Mr. Black, do you want me to wear something that hides me or something that stands out?" He smiled without answering and walked away, leaving her with the question hanging in the air like a forbidden perfume. During the meeting, Lily remained discreet, taking notes and observing, but she noticed something strange. One of the executives, a stern-looking man named Marcus Halley, wouldn't stop staring at her. There was something hostile in his gaze, something she knew all too well. After the meeting, as she exited the room, he approached her. "You're new," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "and already so close to Mr. Black." Lily kept her composure. "I'm just his assistant. It's work." "Of course, assistant." He stepped closer. "But be careful. This place devours the weak." She forced a smile. "I've survived far worse." Marcus narrowed his eyes, intrigued. "Is that so? Like what?" Before Lily could answer, Ethan appeared. "Is there a problem?" Marcus smiled and stepped back. "Not at all, just getting to know the new hire." Ethan waited for him to walk away, then turned to Lily. "What did he say to you?" "He said this place devours the weak." "And you? Are you weak?" She stared him down. "I'm a survivor." Ethan didn't respond, but inside something cracked, because there was pain in those words, and he knew that pain. Later that same day, Lily went to the storage room to retrieve some old documents. And there, among forgotten boxes and folders, her phone rang. She answered quickly. The voice on the other end was low. threatening. "You're playing with fire, Lily." She froze. "Who is this? You think you can hide behind a different name, that he won't find out, that your past won't catch up to you?" Lily felt the world spin. "What do you want?" "I want you away from him, or he'll pay the price." The call ended, and with it, any illusion of safety. Lily clutched the phone to her chest and for the first time asked herself, was Ethan the predator, or the only protection she had left? She stood in the storage room, phone still pressed to her chest. The scent of old paper and dusty wood felt stronger, more suffocating. The words from the call echoed in her mind like a dark warning. "You think you can hide behind a different name? That he won't find out?" She knew this day would come. No one escapes the past forever. But she didn't expect it to find her now, just as something real was beginning to grow. A noise behind her made her jump. It was Ethan. "You okay?" he asked, watching her face with unusual attention. She tried to compose herself, but it was too late. The man who read everyone and everything had already noticed. "Yes, just feeling a little off. I need some air." He didn't believe her, but he didn't push. "Leave early today." Pause. "And don't try to run." She frowned. "Run?" He stepped closer, his body invading her space with calm control. "You have that look, like someone always ready to run." She wanted to deny it, wanted to look away, but the words stuck in her throat. Ethan didn't touch her. He didn't have to. His presence alone broke through every defense. "I run because I've learned it's the only way to survive," she murmured. He just nodded, like someone who understood more than he let on. That night, Lily left before her shift was over. She walked along the Miami shore, as if the sound of the waves could drown her thoughts, but every step only made one question grow louder in her mind. What if he finds out? Because the name Lily Monroe was a lie, so was the story she told to get the job. She wasn't just a maid, she was a marked woman, a witness to a crime involving powerful men, men who wanted her silenced. And now, by getting close to Ethan, she was taking a double risk, being discovered and being loved. Meanwhile, Ethan sat in his office looking at her file again. Nothing made sense. Her background was too clean. No social media, no solid references. And her eyes, that look full of hidden fear, didn't match the story of a simple maid. He leaned back in his chair, glass of whiskey in hand, one question burning in his mind. "Who are you, Lily? And why does every part of me want to find out, even if it might destroy me?" The next morning, Lily arrived early. She needed to pretend everything was normal, hide the chaos inside. But as soon as she walked into the reception, Claire, the secretary, informed her, "Mr. Black wants to see you in his office. Immediately." Lily's stomach dropped. She rode the elevator like someone heading to trial. Ethan stood at the window, his back to her. "Sit down," he said without turning. She obeyed. Silence. Too long. "I received a call this morning," he finally said, "from someone who swore you're not who you say you are." Lily's blood turned cold. "Who?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Someone from my old circle. People with ties to the underworld. Someone who recognized your face from a police investigation in Arizona." She tried to stand, but he spun around quickly, slamming both hands on the desk. "Who are you, Lily?" She was cornered. She could lie, run, deny it. But his eyes didn't allow it. "My real name is Olivia James," she said, her voice breaking. "I witnessed a murder committed by a powerful politician. I was placed in witness protection, but they found me. I had to run, start over, become someone who didn't exist." Ethan said nothing, his eyes locked on hers, as if trying to see straight into her soul. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because trusting powerful men nearly got me killed once." He stepped closer, slowly. "And now?" She lifted her face, vulnerable. "Now, I'm tired of running, but if you want me gone, I'll understand." Ethan stopped in front of her, touched her chin gently with his fingertips. "Do you think I'm like them?" "I don't know what to think of you anymore," she whispered. "Then let me show you." And in a slow, intense gesture, he kissed her, not with arrogance, not with domination, just desire and truth. A kiss that said, "I've seen your demons, and I still want you." And as his lips still brushed against hers, Lily knew loving Ethan Black might be her biggest risk, but also her only salvation. Ethan's lips still brushed against hers when he whispered, barely audible, "You're not running anymore." She closed her eyes, trying not to drown in what she felt. His kiss had broken something inside her, a wall, a resistance, and at the same time, it built another, the fear of what would come next. "I can't drag you into this," she said, stepping back. "You don't know what these men are capable of." "Oh, I know exactly what men like that do," Ethan replied, his eyes darkening. "I've dealt with plenty of them. Corrupt men, killers in suits, businessmen with blood on their hands. But no one touches you, not while I'm breathing." She stared at him in silence. The promise was beautiful, dangerous, overwhelming. "You don't understand, Ethan. They don't just kill. They erase, turn lives into numbers, leave no trace." "Then let's leave a trail they can't erase," he said, stepping closer again. "The difference now is you're not alone anymore." Lily wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to. But it wasn't easy. She wasn't just a victim. She was a witness who knew too much. And now, with her face back on their radar, every step she took was an invitation to the end. In the days that followed, Ethan took action. He moved Lily into a private apartment inside his own building, the safest place in Miami, guarded 24/7 by security that didn't ask questions. He installed alarms, enforced absolute discretion among his staff, and contacted a trusted source in the FBI. But more than anything, he kept Lily close. She became his shadow, and also his obsession. During the day, the two worked side by side, trying to keep the empire running as the walls slowly closed in. At night, they shared silences, glances, and more often touches. Desire grew between them like a wildfire in dry brush. All it took was a lingering look, a whispered word in the hallway, a held breath in the elevator. And they were on the edge, but there was always the same boundary, Lily's past. She still didn't fully trust, and Ethan still didn't know how to love without control. One night, Ethan arrived late at the apartment. He entered quietly and found her asleep on the couch, a book in her lap. Her hair fell across her face, and she wore one of his T-shirts as a nightdress. The sight disarmed him completely. He sat beside her, watching her for long minutes. Then, gently, he ran his fingers through her hair with a tenderness he didn't know he had. "You undo me, Lily." She opened her eyes slowly, surprised by his gentleness. "Is everything okay?" "It is now." She sat up, her face just inches from his. "You're tired, only of pretending I can stay away from you." Silence fell, thick and electric. "Then stop pretending," she said. Ethan didn't need another invitation. The kiss was different this time. Not rushed, not possessive. It was as if they were finally allowing themselves to feel without fear. His hands explored her with reverence. Hers, with need. There was no urgency, no masks, just two bodies that had been connected long before that moment. He touched her like he knew she carried scars, and she welcomed him like she knew he carried his own. And when the two of them came together, it wasn't just skin, it was soul. Hours later, still lying together, she rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Do you still think I'm a distraction?" she whispered. Ethan kissed the top of her head. You're my obsession, my undoing, and the only thing that makes me want to be better." She smiled, eyes misty. "And what if they find us?" He held her tighter. "Let them come. This time I'm not losing what's mine." But while they slept, bodies entwined, a black car pulled up discreetly across the street. A man stepped out with binoculars in hand. He studied the building, the floor, the lights, then made a call. "She's with him, confirmed." "Instructions?" asked a voice on the other end. "Wait, for now. But the right moment is coming." And while Lily slept in Ethan's arms, unaware she was being watched, danger finally knocked, ready to destroy everything they had started to build. The sun hadn't yet risen when Ethan awoke. Beside him, Lily slept soundly, her face peaceful, her breathing steady. But something deep in his instincts screamed, a discomfort not of the body, but the soul, a premonition. He rose in silence, pulled on a black t-shirt, and stepped onto the balcony. The early morning air was damp and heavy. Below, the city still slept, but he felt something was already awake, something drawing near. He pulled out his phone and called a number reserved for emergencies. "Black," answered a deep voice. "Activate full security protocol. I want eyes on the street, camera access and real-time tracking. Someone's watching us." "Understood." Ethan hung up. His chest no longer burned with desire. Now it burned with alertness, with rage, and with a fear he would never admit aloud. Lily woke soon after, sensing the empty space beside her. She found Ethan on the balcony, arms crossed, gaze lost in the horizon. "What's wrong?" she asked, approaching him with his t-shirt still on. He turned slowly. "Nothing you need to worry about, yet." She frowned. "Ethan." "I felt something, and when I feel it, I act. Trust me." "I do," she said, placing her hand on his arm, "but I need to know. I need to be ready. I'm not the girl who runs without fighting anymore." He studied her for a moment. There was truth in her voice, strength. "We've reinforced surveillance. Someone was spotted near the building at dawn, probably connected to your past." She went pale. "They're already here." "So am I." He pulled her by the waist, pressing his body against hers. "And as long as you're with me, no one touches you." She kissed him, but this kiss was different. It carried something stronger than passion. It was a kiss of trust and of promise. Hours later in Ethan's office, Lily was organizing papers when she received an envelope with her name on it. No return address. She opened it carefully, and the world spun. Inside, there was a single photo, her as a child, in her father's arms. The man she had sworn to protect with her silence. A man who had vanished after the trial, under threats from the same group now coming after her. Along with the photo, a note. "You can't hide who you are, and you can't protect those you love. Leave, or he pays the price." She collapsed into the chair, trembling. For a moment, panic took over. But then came the rage. She stood, stormed across the office, and entered Ethan's room without knocking. He was on the phone, but when he saw her face, he immediately hung up. "What happened?" She handed him the photo and the note. They know everything." Ethan read it, his eyes narrowing with a fury only a man at his breaking point could carry. "This changes the game," he said, tearing the paper into pieces. "Ethan, what if they hurt my father? I don't even know where he is now, if he's still alive." "I'll find him, before they do." She hesitated. "How?" "Because I'm Ethan Black. And if these men think you're the prize, then they're about to find out what happens when you mess with what's mine." Lily felt the ground steady beneath her feet. For the first time, she wasn't facing the world alone. At that very moment, in a discreet Miami restaurant, Marcus Halley, the executive who had been watching Lily during the meeting days earlier, was sitting across from a man in a light suit with a cold gaze. The letter arrived. She's scared. And Black? He'll react. like a cornered animal. The man smiled, humorless. Perfect. We need him off balance. That's the only way we'll take everything from him, including the girl. That night, Ethan didn't leave Lily alone for a second. He reinforced the security at the apartment door and spent hours on the phone with contacts in Washington trying to locate her father. Lily, lying on the couch, watched him from a distance. He wasn't just an arrogant tycoon. He was a man at war. For her. When he finally hung up and walked over, she sat up slowly. "You shouldn't get this involved," she said. "I already am. There's no turning back." "And what if they hurt you?" He touched her face. "I'd rather bleed beside you than live safe without you." And that night, as they fell asleep with fingers intertwined, war approached with silent steps, and the two of them were about to discover the real price of loving someone under threat. Heavy rain fell over Miami that morning, as if the sky itself was warning of the storm to come. Ethan woke first, as usual. He rose quietly, so as not to wake Lily, and walked into the kitchen, where the assigned security guard waited with a tense expression. "Any movement?" Ethan asked curtly. "Nothing yet, but our drones picked up an unidentified vehicle circling the block for over an hour." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Prep the car. We're leaving today, now." "To where?" "Someplace they'd never think to look. One of my safe houses. Maximum security." The guard nodded and left, while Ethan returned to the bedroom. Lily was still asleep, peaceful, unaware of the chaos closing in. He stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of the responsibility he carried. Protecting her was no longer instinct, it was sacred duty. But everything fell apart 5 minutes later. A loud crash, shattered glass, the sharp sound of a gunshot. Ethan rushed into the bedroom. Lily was sitting up in shock, staring at the broken window. "Get down!" he shouted, pulling her to the floor and covering her with his body. "Ethan, are they here?" "They were, but they won't get away with it." Another guard entered, armed. "The shooter's gone, no injuries." But that wasn't comfort. It was a declaration of war. Ethan stood, pulling Lily up with him. His face was darker than she'd ever seen. "We're leaving, now." "But where to?" "Somewhere no one can follow us." She nodded, breath trembling. There was no room left for doubt. They were dead center in the crosshairs. The new hideout was a minimalist house, surrounded by tall walls and electric fences, hidden on a private island just minutes from Miami. Time seemed to stand still there, but fear never stopped running. Lily paced the living room, arms crossed, body still on high alert. "They shot at us. They could have killed us." "But they didn't," Ethan replied, sipping his whiskey. "It was a warning. They want to break you. Shake me. They're testing our limits." She stepped closer, resolute. "So what do we do?" He looked at her, eyes burning with contained fire. "We fight, but on my terms." "Ethan, I don't want you to get hurt because of me. And I don't want you to ever doubt I'd do anything for you." She touched his face. "You've already done more than anyone ever has." He took her hand, gripping it tightly. "And I'll do even more." That night, when the world finally quieted around them, Ethan entered the bedroom slowly. He found Lily sitting on the bed, hugging her knees, eyes distant. "I can't sleep," she said. He laid down beside her, saying nothing, just pulled her into his arms. "When all this is over," she began, hesitant, "will you still want me?" Ethan turned his face toward hers, eyes intense. "Lily, no matter what happens, you're already a part of me, of my chaos, my peace, my future." She kissed him, a soft kiss full of tenderness and fear, because their love was growing on ruins, and every second together could be the last. Between sheets and unspoken promises, Ethan didn't just claim her body, he claimed her soul. The next day, Ethan received a call from his FBI contact. "We have a name," the voice said. Marcus Halley. He's connected to a blackmail ring, money laundering, and contract killings. Ethan closed his eyes for a second, then opened them with the kind of resolve that turns men into legends. He goes down, even if I go down with him. Meanwhile, across the city, Marcus received a new dossier on Ethan and Lily. Photos, videos, movement logs. They're feeling safe, the man beside him said. Good, Marcus replied, smiling like a wolf. Let's strike where it hurts the most, her past and his heart. And as the sun rose over the island, Lily and Ethan still didn't know. They were about to face the cruelest blow of all, the one that doesn't strike the body, but the soul. The sun blazed over the private island, but inside the high-security house, the air was too heavy to breathe freely. Lily walked along the balcony with a cup of tea in her hands, but the warmth of the liquid couldn't reach what was breaking inside. Something was wrong. She could feel it. Ethan had been different since the last call from the FBI. He didn't say it, but she saw it in his eyes. A silence she recognized, the silence of someone who knew too much and didn't yet know how to say it. When he finally appeared, wearing a grey shirt and a tense expression, Lily knew something was about to fall apart. "We need to talk," he said directly, his dark eyes locked on hers. She nodded, placing the cup on the table gently. "Is it about Marcus?" "It's about you." The ground seemed to shift beneath her feet. "What do you mean?" Ethan handed her an envelope. She opened it with trembling hands. Inside were copies of documents, old records, photos. Her real name, Olivia James, next to another man's name, her father, and among it all, an unserved arrest warrant for her. Lily staggered back. "Where did you get this?" "The FBI sent it to me. They also told me something else," he said, taking a breath. "Your father is alive, being held in a secret facility, protected by the government. But this," he pointed to the warrant, "this could destroy you." She sat down slowly, like the weight of life had just dropped onto her shoulders. "I never committed a crime. I was used. They placed me at the scene to silence my father, forced me to lie to the press, to disappear. But deep down, I was just a pawn, and when I tried to escape, I became a threat." Ethan knelt in front of her, holding her hands. "Why didn't you tell me everything?" "Because I was afraid you'd see me like everyone else did." He gripped her hands tighter. "I'm not everyone else." She looked up at him. "But now you know, and you know being with me is a risk. I could be taken at any moment, or worse, I could take you down with me." Ethan pulled her close, his forehead pressed to hers. "I don't care about the risk, I care about you. But you need to trust me. You need to give me everything, even the pain." Lily began to cry, not from weakness, but from relief. For the first time, someone wanted her truth, not just her disguise. But while the two were closer than ever, a new trap was being set outside. Marcus Halley anonymously leaked a complete dossier to the press, including fake images that framed Lily in a corruption scheme tied to Ethan. The intent was clear: destroy them both in one blow. The news exploded like a bomb the next morning. Tycoon Ethan Black involved with federal fugitive. FBI investigates suspicious relationship. Phones started ringing non-stop. Panicked investors, journalists demanding answers. Ethan's name was dragged through the mud. Lily entered the office, pale, her phone trembling in her hand. "Ethan, it's everywhere. 3 newspapers called me. They're saying you've been protecting me." He grabbed the phone, tossed it onto the desk, and looked her straight in the eyes. "It's time. We end this." "How?" "By going public, together, telling the truth, clearing your name with the evidence I have, and destroying Marcus with what he fears most: exposure." Lily hesitated. "What if this is the end?" "Then let it be the end. But it'll be with you by my side." She hugged him tightly, and in that moment she knew she couldn't run anymore. She didn't want to. That night they recorded a joint statement to the press. Ethan revealed the evidence against Marcus, the doctored documents, the coordinated attacks. He told the world who Lily really was, a victim, a survivor, and now a woman standing beside a man willing to lose everything, except her. The video went viral within minutes. Reactions were immediate. Some hated them, others called them heroes. But the most important reaction came from the FBI, and in the silence that followed the storm, a call came through. Marcus Halley is on the run, but the case has been reopened. You did the right thing. And in that moment, for the first time since they met, Lily and Ethan finally breathed free. But freedom had a price, and they would soon learn that to stay together, they would have to face not only the past, but also the final, most painful truth. The video had broken the silence. The truth had come out. But with it came chaos. News of Marcus Halley's escape spread quickly, and the FBI issued a warning. He was armed, dangerous, and obsessed. With Ethan exposed and Lily vulnerable, the chances of a direct attack increased by the second. "He's going to try something desperate," Ethan said, pacing the room. "He's lost control, and men like him, when they lose everything, become even more dangerous." Lily watched him silently. There was something different about Ethan now. It wasn't just fury, it was fear. Fear for her. "You think he's coming for me?" "I'm sure of it." "Then let's run." Ethan stopped. "Run. Not forever, just for now, until he's caught, until the world forgets our faces for a few days." She looked at him. "You have money, power. Use it to buy us time. That's all I'm asking." He hesitated. Running was never in his nature. Ethan Black stood his ground. He fought. But now, there was something more important than pride. Lily. The next morning, they left before sunrise in a private jet to an undisclosed location. They took only what was necessary. No staff, no security, just the two of them. And the past still chasing. The plane landed on a small island in the Bahamas, one of Ethan's private retreats, rarely used. Surrounded by crystal-clear waters and protected by invisible security systems, it was the perfect hideout. But even paradise couldn't erase the tension. Lily walked along the white sand, wind in her hair, heart racing. Ethan watched her from a distance, his gaze heavy. "Are you running from me? Or from yourself?" he asked, walking up to her. "From everything. From everyone." She stopped and faced him. "From a world where we can't just be us." Ethan cupped her face in his hands. "And who are we now?" "Two survivors," she replied. "Two people trying to love, while everything around them collapses." He kissed her, hard. A kiss full of heat, possession, desperation, but also tenderness. A silent plea for a moment of peace. And they gave themselves that moment. But it was interrupted by the buzz of Ethan's phone. He answered. His face turned pale. "What is it?" Lily asked, sitting up. "The FBI located Marcus. He tried to board a flight to Nassau, but someone from my own team helped him escape." He swallowed hard. "Someone close." Lily's stomach twisted. "You know who?" Ethan hesitated. "Claire, my secretary. She worked with me for 7 years. "Why?" "Because trust is a powerful man's greatest weakness, and she knew that." Lily stood slowly, eyes on his. "He's coming, isn't he?" Ethan nodded, fists clenched. "Yes. And this time, it won't be a warning. It'll be the end, Lily." She stepped toward him and hugged him tight. "Then we fight. To the end." That night, as the sea wind howled and the silent alarms guarded the house, a boat approached the shore. Marcus Halley gripped his gun tightly, eyes locked on the property ahead. Tonight I end them, he murmured. Tonight she pays for escaping, and he for crossing me. Inside, Ethan watched the radar. When the red dot appeared, he knew. He's here. Lily stood beside him, dressed in black, eyes unwavering. Are we ready? Ethan nodded. But he knew this wasn't just about security. This was about soul, about love, about the silent promise they made the first time they kissed, to never run alone again. And as Marcus's footsteps crept closer through the island's dark trees, Ethan held Lily's hand tightly, ready to face hell as long as it was with her. The silence of the island was deceiving. On the radar, the red dot continued to move forward. Ethan knew each second of calm was actually the breath before the storm. He's close, he murmured, adjusting the earpiece. Lily stood beside him, eyes alert, though her heart pounded like it wanted to escape. But she wouldn't run. Not now. Not after everything. Let's end this, she said, looking into Ethan's eyes. Together. He nodded, gripping her hand tightly. If anything happens to me... No, she cut in. Don't say that. I have to. If something does, run. Save yourself and everything we've built. And if something happens to me... Ethan pulled her into an urgent kiss. Fierce, final, a silent pact. Nothing will happen to you, I swear. Outside, Marcus moved like a shadow, armed, determined. Sweat rolled down his temples, but his eyes were locked on the house. He knew every entrance, every weak point. He had waited for this moment since he lost everything. Now it wasn't about money, it was about revenge, about power, about tearing from Ethan what he loved most. Inside the house, the vibration alarm activated. Ethan pulled Lily to a protected corner behind a mirrored wall. He's in, through the side entrance. Do we have time? Minutes, maybe less. Then listen to me now, she whispered, eyes shining. If you fall, I fall with you. Ethan's chest tightened. It was love, true love, unbreakable, and it gave him strength. You'll live, Lily, for both of us, if you have to. Footsteps echoed on the marble floor. Marcus was inside. Ethan pulled Lily behind the wall, securing the barrier, keeping her safe, then stepped out alone, to face the devil. Marcus appeared in the hallway, gun raised. His eyes were wild, his lips twisted into a cruel half-smile. Black, always so elegant, even at death's door. You should have run, Ethan said firmly. There's no way out now. I didn't come to run. I came to take back what cost me everything. Ethan stepped forward unarmed. She's not yours. She never was. But she's what matters most to you, isn't she? Marcus moved closer. That's why I'm going to destroy her. Because that's how you break a man like you. The sound of a gun being cocked cut through the moment. Touch me and you die right here, said Lily, stepping out behind Marcus, pistol in hand, eyes steady, no hesitation. Marcus spun around, stunned. You? Me! The shot came fast. Marcus fired first, and missed. The sound exploded, and then... silence. Ethan rushed to Lily. She was trembling but unharmed, the gun still in her hands. Marcus lay on the floor, hit in the shoulder, groaning in pain. It's over, Ethan said, pulling Lily into his arms. She was crying, not out of fear, but relief. Is it really over? It is. Hours later, international police arrived. Marcus was taken into custody. The final pieces of evidence were gathered. Lily's name, Olivia James, was officially cleared. Under pressure from the media and the truth exposed, the U.S. government dropped all charges against her. And on the beach, with the sunset painting the sky in orange, Ethan and Lily sat in the sand, quiet, together. You saved my life, he said. You taught me how to live again, she replied. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. This is all I have left after everything. Inside a simple ring, gold, shining like the future. Ethan, marry me, Lily, not as a refuge, not as a promise, but as the woman who broke me just to rebuild me better. She smiled through her tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. And they kissed there, beneath the burning sky, with the sea as witness and love as redemption. Because sometimes love doesn't save you in the beginning, but in the end, it's the only thing that keeps a soul alive. 2 years later, the Black Sands Hotel in Miami stood more majestic than ever. Renovated, restructured, with new shareholders and a reputation not just for luxury, but for courage. Inside, through perfumed hallways and soft ambient music, a woman walked with grace. Loose hair, light dress, peaceful smile. Lily Black, yes, officially now, wife of the tycoon, former maid, survivor of a dark past, and owner of a radiant future. She walked down to the hotel's new event center, where a small private ceremony was about to begin. The reason? A special celebration, 2 years since the day she and Ethan survived hell together. "I'm still surprised when I see you like this," came a deep voice behind her. She turned. There he was. Ethan Black, no suit, no mask, just him. White shirt, sleeves rolled up, the same intense eyes that had disarmed her from the first look. "Like what?" she asked, smiling. "Happy, free, mine." She stepped closer, wrapping her arms around his neck. "And you? Still feel like the untouchable tycoon?" He chuckled. "I feel like the man who was broken by love and rebuilt by the right woman." Lily brushed her lips against his in a light, intimate kiss. "Today is just the beginning," she whispered. He pulled her in by the waist. "Are you sure? Because our gift is about to shake everything up again." She raised an eyebrow. "What gift?" He led her into the flower-filled ballroom. In the center, a small table. On it, an envelope. "Open it." With trembling hands, she picked it up. Inside, a handwritten letter in Ethan's handwriting. "Dear Lily, I promised to give you the world, but it looks like the universe gave us more than we asked for. Congratulations, Mommy. Our baby is on the way." She covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. Ethan smiled. "The clinic called today. It's confirmed. You're pregnant, Lily." She rushed into his arms, laughing, crying, shaking. I didn't know if this was even possible." "It happened. Our way. In our time." She rested her forehead against his, both wrapped in a silence of absolute love. "So now we're 3, she whispered. 3. Against the world if we have to." Outside, the sun set over Miami. Inside the hall, 2 souls sealed a new cycle, a new chapter. And if in the past, Lily had been just an invisible maid, now she was everything Ethan Black needed to remember, that sometimes the most dangerous love is the only one worth living for. And as he kissed her belly, eyes full of emotion, Lily knew there was no more fear, no more running, only love, fierce, eternal, unbreakable. Thank you for being here and watching my story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss a new story like this one. And of course, leave a like. That helps our channel grow and reach more people who also love stories like this. The next chapter is already waiting on your screen, filled with drama and passion that will stir your soul. Stay with me and let's dive into this next emotional journey together. See you soon, my dear friends. Until the next video.